take out a pencil and make sure if you have any queries, you note them on your paper, and then afterwards you can come and show me and we will look at it together. Okay, now I'm going to go through the question paper and the memo and explain to you what I was looking for and so on and so forth so that you understand for next time. Okay, so let's have a look. The first section of questions was terms. Now, why do we ask you terms? In your first year, it's very important that you learn the language of marketing. It's like learning a new language so that when you have conversations with other marketers and other business people, you understand the terms. Also, so that when your future lecturers in your second, third, and fourth year mention these words, you understand what they're talking about. They don't have to explain themselves. That's why you need to just study terms. Like when you're learning a new language, it doesn't come naturally. You just have to study the word. What does it mean? Okay? So, it might seem tedious, it might seem boring, but it's part of the reality of learning a new discipline. Okay, so, I asked you 5 terms, and they're 2 marks each. And they were very simple, they were words that I used in class. I gave you that list of all the terms for each chapter, but I didn't ask you terms that I hadn't used. That wouldn't be fair, I feel. So, there were words that I used. Okay, monopolistic competition is not monopoly. So I was looking for where it's a relatively large number of suppliers that offer similar but not identical products. Now that is coming right out of the textbook. If you explain to me the same concept just in your own words, that's okay. But I'm looking for understanding. Can I see that you understand the term? Not are you using some of the correct words, because that means that you just try to memorize the exact words. But I can see you don't actually understand the concept. Okay? So, you would have gotten 2 marks there. Exit barriers, the factors that hinder a company from exiting or divesting from a market in which it has been competing. A lot of you gave me your own interpretation of exit barriers. That's fine. I would have seen if you understood the concept. Maybe given you 1 mark. Consumer behavior. A lot of you just went like this, right? And said, it's the way consumers behave. Come on guys, you can't just apply general knowledge to a term like that. That's not how it works. You need to actually understand what it is. It is the study of how consumers make purchasing decisions and how they get rid or dispose of products. And then marketing intelligence is everyday information. Some of you use the words environmental scanning from chapter 2. I would have given you a correct mark there because that is how we gather everyday information, is using environmental scanning. But it's information that we use to prepare and adjust marketing plans. That information is used by managers to make decisions. And then lastly, secondary data. It's data that has been previously collected for a purpose other than the one at hand. A lot of you gave me also some very strange things there, which I could see that you didn't understand the concept. Okay? So, question number 2 was the survey methods. There were 10 potential marks you could get there, 1 mark for each. So if you gave me 1 good advantage and 1 good disadvantage, I would have given you a mark. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Now, as you remember, I was not here during the week where this needed to be taught, but another lecturer came in and taught it to you, and then I still made a video about it and put it on Facebook, if you recall, to make sure that you understood this. And in fact, this is the exact table that I drew in that video. I just put it right in here because, yeah. So, the first one, personal interviews, an advantage is that it's in a home setting. The interviewer can show the respondent things, the interviewer can probe, and so on. Disadvantages include that it costs a lot of money because of travel time, and you can't collect lots of data, and it takes very long to do. Shopping or internet interviews, it's cheaper than door-to-door. You also have personal contact, so you can probe, you can also show them things. And the difficulty is that it's difficult to get a representative sample, and the interview must be short because people are generally in a hurry. A lot of you gave me that disadvantage, that's fine. An electronic interview is an email. It's sent to you via email, and then you click on it, and then you can fill it out online. And what's nice about email surveys or electronic surveys is that they're very fast, they're easy to administer, you can capture lots of data. The disadvantages is that not everyone has access to the email, to the internet. It's mostly young people these days who are tech savvy. A lot of people don't use certain email addresses anymore. It's easy to ignore, and you cannot probe. And then mail surveys. Now, a mail survey, in which format do we usually get mail? Via the post. It is not email survey. If you had studied this in your textbook, you would have seen. It is mail that comes via the post. Why would I ask you electronic surveys and then the same thing again? No, it is post. Okay? That is traditionally what mail is, guys. Have any of you ever received a letter in the post?
Wow.
Huh? Maybe some of you have never received a letter in the post. I can understand that. I can fully understand that. When you hear mail, you're like, yeah, it's mail, it's my email. Come on. Okay, so if for future reference, study what is in your textbook and don't try and think that you know what's going on because you're new to marketing. So when you see the word mail, you're going to attach it to email. But that's not what we're asking for. Okay? Right, so mail survey, low cost because post is very cheap. You don't need an interviewer. You can control it from a centralized location. People can take their time and reply thoroughly. They can even ask their friends and family members questions when they are filling it in, and you can gather lots of data. Sadly though, it's very slow. You cannot probe, and generally not many people respond, only 10%, and also it's usually only older people because they're the ones that would take the time to fill it out. Again, then lastly, focus groups. A focus group is a bit different to the previous four. That's when you get a group of people together, 8 to 10. Now, a lot of you in the advantages section, you told me what it is. So you told me it's a type of interview where you get 8 to 10 people together. That's not what I was asking for. I was asking you for an advantage, not what it is. So, very important that you discern what is the lecturer asking for. He's not asking me to explain what it is. He's asking me for the advantage. He's assuming that I know what it is. Okay? So, advantage. It is greater interaction. There's a dynamic interaction that's produced. You can use it to do brainstorming. You can gather valuable insights. You can brainstorm new ideas and new product ideas and so on and so forth. And the disadvantages is that you can only get a limited amount of data because you only have a small group of people, but that usually doesn't really matter. And usually you can get people together quite quickly for a focus group, but okay, theoretically it could be costly because you have to pay people money. I did give some of you, if you gave that a correct mark there. It's difficult to maintain and control the group. Is that really what it is? Okay, you can show me afterwards. But as far as I know, a facilitator is able to train to maintain and control the group. But maybe, if you can show me, if you can prove your case, I'll be happy to concede. Then, so there were 10 potential marks there. Then question 3. Now, mark reporter slide courses. I told you were going to get this, number 1. Number 2. You did not have to apply it at all. You only had to explain what it is. Just a theory. Very simple. Not complicated. 10 marks, which means 2 marks per force. Now, I'm quite disappointed that many of you did not get full marks for this, because it's very simple, and in fact it shows me that many of you still don't understand what Porter's 5 forces are and why it's important. What's the main reason we use Porter's 5 forces? Is to determine if an industry is attractive or not. So every single time you explain a force, you need to explain this is the force and this is what makes the market attractive or unattractive. Very simple, actually. So for the threat of new entrants, you need to say, if entry barriers are high, it means that not many new entrants can enter the market. Therefore, it means that profits are not limited, making the industry attractive. If the entry barriers are low, it means many new entrants can enter the market, which means there's less profits to go around, making the market unattractive. 2 marks. Some of you did give me, and you could have given me some of the potential entry barriers, and I would have given you at least 1 mark there. But if you just share the entry barriers, that does not tell me what the threat of new entrants is. It just tells me what some of the entry barriers are. So you need to describe each entry barrier and what's important about that, sorry, not entry barrier, each force, and what's important about that force making the market either attractive or unattractive. Okay? Threat of substitute products, again, if there are many substitute products, it means that the firm needs to charge lower prices in order to compete with all the other products, meaning less profits, meaning it's an unattractive market. Okay? Threat of buyers' growing bargaining power. Yes, you could have given me all the things that increase the buyer's bargaining power, and I would have given you at least 1 mark there, but just telling me what influences the buyer's bargaining power, it does not still tell me what buyer's bargaining power is. Okay? If the buyers have strong bargaining power, it makes the industry unattractive because they can force prices down. That is how you would have to explain it to get 2 marks. Threat of suppliers' bargaining power. If the suppliers are few, it means that they will be powerful, which means they will charge very high prices, which will influence your profits, making the industry unattractive. And then lastly, the threat of intense segment rivalry. If there are many competitors in the market that are fighting very heavily with one another, with price wars and advertising battles, it means that it will be very expensive to compete in that industry, making it, again, unattractive. That's what I was looking for. That's what it says in your textbook. That is how you explain the Porter's 5 forces. Okay. Right. Then, question number 4. Please have a seat, thank you. One way to determine the competitors of a firm is to divide the firm into its 4 product levels. So, I gave you already, I said one of the ways is to do the product levels. Then I said discuss 2 alternative approaches. What does the word alternative mean? Different, other, in the place of. Which means that, can you then give me the 4 product levels as an example? No. Yet some of you did. Why? I do not know. Means you did not read the question. So there are 3 potential alternatives, or 3 other ways in which you can determine competitors. One of them is called customer choice. Very simple, we went through this in detail. Customer choice is when you ask a customer, which other product would you buy if ours was not available? Then the other products that they give would be classified as your competitors. Product use associations, we went through a long example with Viennas, in which contexts are Viennas used, and if you can then determine the context, like on a pizza and in a pasta, in a hot dog, then you can determine what other substances can be used in place of Viennas, and then you will also discover who your competitors are. You could have used those examples. And then the last one was a strategic group approach. And that is when you look at the industry, which firms are following the same strategy, which have the same resources that they use. And we looked at 3 different strategic groups in the fashion industry. Edgars, Truworths, Woolworths, and so forth are strategic competitors. And then others as well, and you could have also given me that example. So, 5 potential marks there. Question 5, one of the fastest growing uses of decision support systems is database marketing. You only have to explain what database marketing is for 1 mark. It's a creation of a large computerized file of customers and potential customers' profiles and purchasing patterns. And then list 4 capabilities of database marketing for 4 marks. How many capabilities am I looking for? 4. So that means how many marks per capability? 5. Right, so how many do you need to give in order to get 4 marks? At least. 4 at least. Not 2, not 3. If you want to make sure you get 4 marks, you give 5 or 6. Because you might get 1 wrong. So, the number 1, to identify the most profitable or least profitable customers, to identify the most profitable market segments, to aim your marketing efforts at those products and services that need the most support, to increase revenue through repackaging, and etc., etc. We went through them again in class, and I told you were going to be asked on this. In fact, I told you everything you were going to be asked on. Then, section C, 20 marks. I give you a little case study, which resembles the case study you were given in your tutorial about Jack and Jill buying a house. So you've seen this before, okay? Then I ask you to apply the case study to each step of the consumer decision-making process, discussing how Tandor used the consumer decision-making process. Now, when I use the term consumer decision-making process, it is a theory that has very specific vocabulary that you need to use. I'm seeing, do you understand the model? And can you use the vocabulary of the model to explain what's going on in the case study? So, I'm not just looking for you to take out of the case study and say, Tandor did this, and then Tandor did that, and then Tandor did that. Boom, 10 marks. No! You need to apply it to the actual model. Therefore, one of the easiest ways in which to do this is to first give the theory. So you say, problem recognition. What is problem recognition? Theory, 1 mark. Then you explain what Tandor did in connection to that theory. 2 marks. Theory, consumer decision-making process, what Tandor did. Same for information search. So I'll give you an example. Or if you know the theory very well, then you don't have to do theory application. You are able to combine even in 1 sentence or in 1 paragraph the theory and application. And some of you showed me that you were able to do that. But you don't have to answer it that way. That's a high level of answering questions. But you could have said easily, what is problem recognition? It is when someone recognizes that they have an unmet need or an unfulfilled need. Boom, 1 mark. In Tandor's case, the application would be, Tandor realized that he was 18 and he did not know who to vote for and he didn't want to vote like his parents. If you just gave me the application, I only gave you 1 mark. Because you did not give me the consumer decision-making process theory, model. You didn't apply it to the model. Okay? Anyone can read through a case study and go, oh, that's problem recognition. But can you really integrate it with the theory? Okay, information search. What is the theory I was looking for? What is an information search? You either look for information internally or externally, and the external information search is marketing controlled or it's non-marketing controlled. In Tandor's case, you could have said, Tandor searched for information externally by consulting his family members, friends, and online news articles, which would have been non-controlled information sources. But he also looked at websites and Facebook pages of political parties, which are marketing controlled information sources. That is applying it to the theory. for information externally by consulting his friends and family members. And online news articles which were non-marketing controlled sources. No. If it's an article that is written by a journalist, it is non-marketing controlled. But if it is a Facebook page that is owned by a political party, then it is marketing controlled information sources. So that's what I was looking for. Not just Thando look for information with his friends and family and online. Yes, the article says that. I know that. But how does that connect with the consumer decision-making model? Consumer decision-making model. Okay. Evaluation of alternatives. Then, okay, he developed what we call an evoked set. Very few of you gave me the word evoked set. Yes, I know, I could read the article. Yes, ANC, EFF, DA, COPE, IP, but what is that in the consumer decision-making model? It is the evoked set. Then, usually with an evoked set, a consumer uses criteria with which to decide which one they're going to choose. But in this case, Thando struggled to determine which criteria he was going to use. He wasn't sure, so you could have said that. And then lastly, fourth, purchase. Okay, very important. Yes, Thando did choose to purchase. He did choose to vote. But, according to the consumer decision-making model, a consumer can either choose to purchase or not to purchase. She needed to say that. Thando could have chosen to say, I don't know who to vote for, I'm not going to vote. But in his case, he did choose to vote. So you needed to say, a consumer can choose to purchase or not to purchase. In Thando's case, he chose to purchase by voting for the IFP. Not just Thando voted for the IFP. Yes, I know that. But how does it connect to the consumer decision-making model? Guys, everything in first year and going forward is all about you showing us that you understand the models and the theories and the information we have taught you. That's what it's all about. You need to show us that you understand it, and you need to show us that you understand the language. You need to use the language to explain. I can't imagine that you understand by what you write. He chose the IFP. I don't know. Do you understand the theory? Can you explain the theory? Okay, so please, in future, make sure that you know the vocabulary, that you explain the vocabulary, that you, when we give you an example, that you ingrain it with your understanding of the theory. Okay, and then lastly, post-purchase behavior. What's the main thing we're looking for with post-purchase behavior? Is the anxiety that's caused afterwards. What's that called? Thank you, post-purchase dissonance. He experienced post-purchase dissonance. Not just he was unsure. What is that? It's post-purchase dissonance. Okay? And then you could explain why he experienced post-purchase dissonance and you would have gotten a mark. Okay, so that's 10 marks. Very simple actually, if you understood the model. Cognitive dissonance, then I even talked about cognitive dissonance. Yet some of you didn't even think, hold on, maybe I should include cognitive dissonance, the word there which my lecturer just gave to me. Discuss strategies Thando can use to decrease his cognitive dissonance. Now, if I give 4 marks, how many potential strategies am I looking for? 4! 1 mark, this is how I mark. I don't care how your other lecturers mark, I don't know how they mark, this is how I mark. I give 1 mark per legitimate fact. So 1 strategy equals 1 mark. Okay? That's how I mark for future reference. I don't just hand out marks like it's Christmas. Okay? You need to give me something, then I give you something. Okay. So here's some potential. So the theory, here's the theory. You didn't have to give the theory, I'm just going to share with you the theory first. See, to decrease cognitive dissonance, a consumer may seek new information that reinforces positive ideas and avoid information that contradicts their decision, or they may revoke their original decision. That's the 3 things that a consumer will do. Now, if you understood the theory, you would be able to apply it practically to this example. So you could have said, what are practical ways in which Thando could seek new information? Well, he could go and read about the policies of the IFP and look for more information about the party that reaffirms his choice. He can look at advertisements by the IFP and even speeches made by their leaders. Again, he's looking for information. He can get involved with IFP members in the Western Cape. He can avoid material and advertisement by other parties like the ANC and the EFF. He can avoid conversations with his family members about other parties. He can form friendships with IFP members in the Western Cape. And some of you said he can vote for a different party next time. Yes, that would have been correct as far as this theory is concerned.
Just not vote.
No, he had already voted. Okay. So some of you gave me even, these are the ones I came up with, some of you came up with other ones, which I could see you understood the theory. That's all I'm looking for. Do you understand the theory? Do you understand this concept? Okay, then discuss strategies that political parties can use to decrease cognitive dissonance. So 6 marks means how many strategies? 6 at least, to be safe. 7. Or explain even more with each of the 6 strategies to make sure you're going to get those marks. You've got to work for your marks, man. Really. You've got to show me that you have facts, understanding. I'm not here to pass you on like in high school. Maybe you experienced. I'm not here for that. I'm sorry. I'm not here so you can get a diploma. Yay, I've got a diploma. No, I'm here to make sure that you understand marketing. That you're well versed in marketing. So that when we send you into the industry, you don't look like a fool. When you are asking for a job and they say, explain to us what Porter's 5 forces are, and you can't do it. Because we just passed you on. No, I'm here to make sure you understand. And if you don't understand by the end of the year, you come back. I have no problem seeing you in my class again. Really, I don't. Because I actually care about you. I do. I actually care about you. I don't care about myself having a great pass rate. I really don't care. I'll explain to them. The students don't understand what's going on. They're just coming again. And you will come again and again and again until you understand it. Simple. I want to see that you master these topics. So that you become a master in marketing. Okay. That's my commitment to you. That's why I spend a lot of time running tutorials and making videos and marking properly to ensure that you, to ensure that you know what's going on. And if you don't know what's going on, that's okay. If you fail, it's okay. It really is. Some people take longer to grasp concepts than others. Sadly, we have a structure where you have to do it in a year, and then if you fail, you have to do it again. Yes, that's the structure we have. But in normal life, you know, it doesn't always take a year to master a specific discipline. It can take longer. But I'm going to make sure that you master it, that's for sure. When you come 3 years in my class, that's fine. We'll become big buddies. Okay, so application is as follows. Now, first the theory. The customer service manager makes up a note. Okay, so this is some of the examples that are used, I think, in the textbook. A customer service manager makes up a note inside the package congratulating the buyer for making the purchase. Post-purchase letter sent by the manufacturer, Christian introducing statements in instruction booklets, and then I think there's another example where it talks about advertisements that reaffirm the decisions of others. So now, how does that relate to this party? Well, political parties can have post-voting events where they get people together that voted for them to reaffirm their beliefs and say, wow, well done, we're going to take over South Africa, etc. They can advertise their policies and party values in various media to reaffirm that people made the correct choice. They can encourage people to look at their track record. They can give away free gifts like t-shirts, which they often do. They can get party members together for smaller events where they discuss relevant topics. They can make flyers and fridge magnets and other complimentary items that people can keep close by to remind them about what they stand for. And others, some of you came up with other wonderful strategies, which I gave correct marks to. Okay, 6 potential strategies there. Okay, and then question number D, section D, 10 marks, read the case study below and write an essay based on the instructions. 10 marks. Again, I was sad to see that many of you did not fully embrace the opportunity to write an essay. You wrote one little page, and many of you sadly repeated the same idea over and over and over. And that's not what I'm looking for. When I give marks, I'm looking for a concept or a fact that you are presenting, and so I give marks for different facts and concepts that reinforce what you're saying. Okay, so you need to think widely. You can't just repeat the same concept and expect to get lots of marks because you're writing a lot about it. I don't give marks for words. I give marks for that I can see that you have a wide understanding of a topic so that you can even reinforce it from many different angles. Okay? And that's what an essay is supposed to do. So the main question here was that you needed to analyze the above two arguments in the light of the importance of data-informed decision-making in marketing. That's what it was about, data-informed decision-making. When we make decisions in marketing, we need to use data. Okay, in the one such argument, the boss was like, we don't have time to use data. Whereas my argument, and this is really what happened actually, this is a true story. In my case, what I said, no, we need to do research, otherwise in the future, the consumers are not going to like what you're doing anymore and we're going to think it's still okay. So you needed to say, quickly, just first off the bat, using data-informed decision-making, John, even though Dylan doesn't have much experience, from a data-informed decision-making perspective, he is correct. And this is why. Then you needed to use your theory and explain it. Create an argument. Now, here's the theory that you needed to use in your argument. Firms that do not know or understand consumer needs and wants cannot implement the marketing concept and satisfy their needs. Many of you gave that one. Correct. Well done. As part of your argument. Ignorance of consumers' needs will stifle efforts to develop new need-satisfying products and leave the opportunity for competitors. Many firms have made embarrassing and expensive mistakes because they did not have sufficient information at their disposal. You could have said, John, even though he's got lots of experience, he could develop a campaign, but then be embarrassed when the consumers don't buy the products because he thinks that he knows what they want. So you could have used this case study as a way to bolster your argument. Alert well-informed firms are able to anticipate consumer need changes and detect and anticipate what competitors are doing. So it also gives you the ability to anticipate what's going to happen in the future. That would have been another mark. This way they ensure that they are not caught off guard. Another one, information is critical when launching a new product, setting new prices. The availability of information reduces the risk and enhances the quality of decision making. And then also, there we go, it helps managers trace problems, it helps managers understand the market better, and it alerts them to market trends. Many things you could have talked about in terms of data-informed decision making. And so I did give you marks if you talked about these concepts of satisfying consumer needs, but I can't give you multiple marks for saying the same thing over and over and over. You need to show me your wide ability to argue a concept. Does that make sense? Okay. So it's not that you get no marks. Don't get me wrong. So you did get marks, but if you want to get all the marks, or as many marks as possible, you have to show me your wide abilities in marketing. Okay? Because that's what I'm trying to stretch your mind, stretch your ability in terms of these theories and concepts. Because that's what the industry is looking for, and that's what we need in marketers. Okay, so that is 70 marks. Are there any questions, comments, thoughts, objections?
Also for